A disclaimer. You could read it, but then again, you probably won't. Either way, please enjoy the video.
Pop Team Epic is a 4-panel Japanese gag manga turned viral anime sensation. The show is extremely popular for its nonsensical humor and bizarre references to pop culture. But odds are you probably already knew that if you're clicking on this video. I'm not here to explain to you what Pop Team Epic is, but I am here to explain how I fooled the internet with a simple video edit. Hi, my name is Saltydkdan, but you can just call me Salty, and this is a video I like to call How My Fake Pop Team Epic Skit Bamboozled the Internet. Although before we get into all that, allow me to talk about today's sponsor, Pop Team Epic Amino! And yes, I'm not joshing you, I actually have a sponsor. Yeah, I know it's crazy, I don't believe it either. Amino is the best place to connect, share, and interact with people who have the same interest as you. It's a huge community filled to the brim with different groups to join that focus on different series, shows, fan bases, and much more. I'm currently a member of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Amino, Steven Universe Amino, Mario Amino, and you guessed it, the Pop Team Epic Amino. Once you join one of Amino's many different communities, you can post, share, and discover brand new content relating to your favorite series with like-minded fans. When you're on Amino, you can even check out all the other members and what they're up to, from voice chatting to voting on various user-submitted polls. Amino's got it all going on, my dudes. And it even has this neato feature called screening rooms that I actually really like. Essentially, you can create YouTube playlists and watch them together while chatting with other members. If you're anything like me, you're going to use it to watch a lot of memes. There's always something new to see on the app.
Always.
And I usually start by going on the featured section. The Pop Team Epic Amino currently has this awesome Peep-A-Me fan art by user Lookout Oprah. Also, I feel like that username might be a Drake and Josh reference, and if so, major props. You know, I'm actually gonna be posting some of my fan art to the Pop Team Epic Amino, so why don't you head over and check it out and let me know what you think? I'm totally not begging for likes or anything, no. I don't do that, like my stuff. You can find my username and the link to download Amino in the description below. And now, it is time to go behind the bamboozle. Okay, so on February 18th of 2018, I posted this little video to Twitter with the text, "I cannot believe Pop Team Epic did this, WTF." It was a custom-made Pop Team Epic sketch that I had created myself. It even had full Japanese voice acting and subtitles. The sketch itself was a direct copy/reference to one of my favorite viral videos, Hey Andy Sweetie. I could probably make an entire video talking about why Hey Andy Sweetie is so great and going into the background of the guy who made it, but I think I'm gonna save that for a potential other video. Initially, I had posted this fake skit as a joke to fool my followers on Twitter, but it quickly decided to go viral seemingly out of nowhere. In a single hour, the tweet had already received 1K likes, and within a day, 30K likes. By the end of that week, it had amassed over 60,000 likes on Twitter, and it started going viral on Tumblr with 120,000 notes. It was the single greatest bamboozle of my entire career, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. From making the video itself, to exaggerating the lie further and further to make it more believable. To better structure this video, I'll be breaking it down into different segments, talking about and explaining each part of the video in length, starting with the visuals. The main key factor in making anyone believe that this was a real skit from the Pop Team Epic anime was its visuals. Without that, it would not fool anyone for a second. The way I created this scene was through a combination of Photoshop and custom art I created from scratch. There are 4 major components to this scene: Popco, Peep-A-Me, the table, and the background. I decided against adding anything else to the shot, like the chairs from the original Hey Andy Sweetie video, mostly because A, many of the skits I was trying to emulate from the show don't have that much set design going on, B, I didn't want to mess things up by overdoing it, and C, I'm a tad bit lazy. The first thing I worked towards creating was a table for Papaco to write on. This was actually a lot more difficult to make authentic looking than you would think, despite the table itself being extremely simple looking. As weird as it is to say, I wanted to make sure that this simple looking table fit in with the style of the show as much as Papaco and Peep-A-Me did. To achieve this, I went through all the episodes of the show that were currently available at the time, looking for any tables in the skits to reference when making my table. The skit I was making was a front-facing 2-shot, much like plenty of other Pop Team Epic skits. scenes. So I was looking for a table in one of those to make sure I drew it from the right angle. Eventually, I went back to episode 1 and noticed that in the interrogation skit, Papago was sitting behind the exact type of table I needed. Using it as a reference, I drew up my table to look just like it, while adjusting for the difference in lighting by making the colors on it a bit brighter than in the original scene. Next asset to work on was Peep-A-Me, and honestly, she was the simplest to put in. All I really did for this was rip her model directly from the Are You Upset skit. Speaking of, same with the background. I just changed up the colors on it from the original orange ones to a bluer shade. Honestly, I probably could have just drawn up my own background, but I'm all about cutting corners, so yeah. Last but definitely not least is Papago. Now this I'm proud of. The Papago that you see in the final skit is actually a highly edited and redrawn version of the Papago from the Masashi Super Dry skit from the first episode. Allow me to go over my process. First, I isolated her head and face in Photoshop so that I could freely move them around her body. Then, I positioned both her head and face so that she was looking down, and placed her in the scene behind the table. Then, I erased her arm holding the beer entirely, and redrew the arm so that it was leaning on the table, along with drawing her hand holding a pencil. I made sure that her hand holding the pencil was on its own layer, so that when I got down to edit the final product in Premiere, I could rotate it left and right for 3 frames to make it look like it was animated. Okay, that was a lot of words. In layman's terms, I photoshopped and drew up a bunch of stuff and crap. The audio. Now, what's a good visual edit without some good quality audio? I mean, at that point, it would just be a good visual edit, because visual edits don't require audio. Fuck, man, this script is horrible. But basically, I'm talking about voice acting. For this video, I reached out to the talented voice actress Sydsnap to provide some quality voice work for both Peep-A-Me and Papago. Definitely go check out her work. I'll have her YouTube channel and Twitter linked in the description. What was great about getting Sydney on board to do the voice acting was that we didn't actually have to worry about doing a voice match for Peep-A-Me and Papago. And that's because each episode of Pop Team Epic has different voice actors for the main duo. Ain't that something? Sydney did an amazing job for this, giving me not only some great voices for the characters to work with, but also giving me a pretty decent Japanese translation as well. Now, of course, it isn't perfect, but I gave her a pretty short window of time, and she did her job excellently within that time frame. Not to mention the universe-shattering scream that Peep-A-Me does at the end. That is some A-fucking-plus voice acting. The editing. Once I got all my visual and audio materials set up and ready to go, I was prepped for the editing phase. The software that I use to edit all of my videos is Adobe Premiere, and this one was no exception. What's great about Adobe Premiere is that it can actually function in tandem with other Adobe apps, and it's pretty much essential for everything I edit. For example, when putting a Photoshop file into a Premiere project, it actually gives me the option to separate it by layers so I can work with each aspect of the scene individually. If for whatever reason this all sounds way too complicated, essentially Adobe Premiere is just a really good editing program for this type of thing. The editing process for this video really boiled down to 2 major things: lip flaps and subtitles. First, let's go over lip flaps. If you're familiar with any anime abridged series online, you'd probably already have a good understanding of how this works. In anime, there are normally 3 different types of mouths that characters use to talk in shots: open, half open, and closed. With any abridged series, people take those mouths and use them to sync with the dialogue that they recorded, opening and closing the mouths when necessary. As a quick example, here's a scene from Dragon Ball Z Abridged with and without lip flap edits.
Merry Christmas, King Kai. Quick question. Do you know if anyone is attacking the Earth right now?
Oh yeah, real suspicious looking mini-moon sitting around in your upper atmosphere.
Merry Christmas, King Kai. Quick question. Do you know if anyone is attacking the Earth right now?
Oh yeah, real suspicious looking mini-moon sitting around in your upper atmosphere.
Looks good with those edits, huh? Pretty easy to spot the difference. But we may have a slight issue with this method when it comes to editing Pop Team Epic. Think you know why? Yep, these assholes don't actually open their mouths when they speak. So does that mean we can even edit the lip flaps at all? Well, yes, actually. Even though Papago and Peep-A-Me never open their mouths in the anime, they still do have lip flaps. You see, when they speak, their smirks stretch and compress themselves accordingly along with their speech. And would you look at that? If we go frame by frame, we can actually see that those squash and stretch motions directly mirror that of the normal abridging method. closed is flat, half open is mid-stretch, and full open is fully stretched. So with this in mind, I created 3 custom squashed and stretched lip flaps for both Peep-A-Me and Papago with Photoshop. Now it's actually time to lip sync these puppies. The lip syncing process can be long and tedious, even when you're just working with 3 different mouths. This isn't really a straight up tutorial, so I won't be getting into how I sync the mouths, but maybe I'll do a full lip flap video in the future to better explain my process. Once 2 hours of my life was wasted due to lip syncing the footage, it was finally time to add subtitles. For the look of my subtitles, I closely copied the font and design of the ones used in the anime streaming service Crunchyroll. I wanted people to question, wait, is this from the new episode on Crunchyroll? And yes, they did, but we'll get to that. The lie. Ooh, this is the juicy part. I finally posted the video on Twitter on February 18th at 11:35 a.m. EST, along with the text, "I cannot believe Pop Team Epic did this, WTF," in all caps. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it kind of went all over the place. In the time span of less than a week, this had become my most viewed video online. Well, it used to be my most viewed video online.
Number 15. Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you'd want in your Burger King burger is someone's foot fungus, but as it turns out, that might be what you get.
At first, everyone had seemed to believe the lie that it was actually a real skit, and besides all the effort I put in to make it look and sound real, it actually came out at a pretty good time. At this point, Pop Team Epic had already been recognized online quite a bit for its memey and referential nature to Western properties. Even still though, a Hey Andy Sweetie reference was a pretty hard sell, or at least it would have been if the episode the day prior hadn't aired. In the most recent episode at the time, there was a reference that no one seemed to expect at all, and that reference was essential to making my video believable in the slightest. And that reference, my friends, was a freaking Undertale reference. This completely blindsided people when it began spreading around the fanbase. With that in mind, many people did not know what to expect from Pop Team Epic going forward, which is what made my skit easily able to fool a lot of people. But even with a majority fooled, there was one problem. Some people were pretty quick to point out that this skit wasn't included in the previous episode that it aired, and began to call out that it was fake. And while it was fake, I was not going to let people figure it out that soon. I had to think long and hard on how to preserve this lie as long as possible, and that's when I remembered that Pop Team Epic had just started to sell Blu-rays of the show online. You see, some Blu-rays and collector's edition of anime come with an OVA, or original video animation, based on the show that never aired on television. Essentially, it's an extra episode of the show that you can watch on the Blu-ray or DVD release only. There are many different shows that have done this, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure with its OVA, Thus Spoke Kashibe Rohan, an episode only available to customers that had bought all of the Blu-rays from that season. With this in mind, I created a follow-up post that I added on to the original tweet that read, "For those of you wondering, yes, this is real. It's an OVA that's included for those who buy the Pop Team Epic Blu-rays in Japan." I then posted a link to the site that was selling the Blu-rays at the end of the tweet. Funny thing about spreading misinformation online, if you post a link, no one questions you. Like, people will just look at the link and they won't even doubt you. Somehow, this new post actually made some people who didn't believe the skit was real actually believe that it was real. I can guarantee you that no one probably even fucking clicked on that link. If they did click on the link, they could have scrolled down and looked at the description of the Blu-ray that said nothing about an OVA. Sure, there was still some people out there who didn't believe me, but the people who did believe it strongly outweighed those who didn't. The main lesson I want to bring here is this: don't believe everything you see online, you morons!
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Thank you so much for watching the video. I don't normally make stuff like this, but I feel like this was a little bit warranted because of how much it blew up. If you like this format, by all means, tell me. I'd love to do a couple of more videos like this in the future, maybe. But that ends that. See you guys in the next video. Bye!